Students from low and middle income families are worried they're going to be forced out of attending college and university after Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced major changes to the province's student loan program. The Ford government says it's responding to a funding crisis at colleges and universities. They are capping the amount of non-repayable grants from 85% down to 25% starting this fall. So we've reached out to Alex Stratus, fourth-year poli-sci student and advocacy commissioner at U Ottawa Students' Union, to get a better picture of how this is changing the hopes of students who want to go to post-secondary. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Alex, the government announced this week that it's going to unfreeze tuition rates at some colleges and add $6.4 billion in new funding over 4 years, trying to make up some of the changes to the OSAP grants. You're a fourth-year post-secondary student. How are these changes going to affect you?
Well, the $6.4 billion to start off is for research opportunities to universities and colleges. That doesn't directly translate to the daily student life. Personally, I work a full-time job at the Student Union, and that pays for all of my bills, anything that I need. But I take part-time classes. There are students out there who have to work full-time jobs, take full-time classes and pursue that. And I'm looking to do a graduate studies. And I'm worried that, well, this job ends in April. Like, what am I going to do then? I have to pick up 2 jobs just to cover, and I can't rely on OSAP, right?
Well, the government says that these changes are designed to address the financial crisis that's hit colleges and universities. That's in part because the federal government changed immigration for foreign students, and less money from inflated foreign tuition fees left colleges and universities in this funding crunch. What are you hearing from the students that you interact with?
I heard this news from students directly. That's immediately how I found out, through DMs, through emails, and they're genuinely distraught. Lots of them are med school students or STEM students. They're scared about how they're going to continue in their degree. They don't see this news, and I don't see this news as any means of helping funding their futures. This is doing directly, like, not that.
The Ford government also said it's going to invest, you and I just talked about this, the $6.4 billion into the system in the next 4 years. You know, you just were telling me you don't think that it's enough to address your concerns. Where do you think the money needs to go?
Yeah, well, once again, it's $6.4 billion to research opportunities to colleges and universities, and that's great. But if students can't even afford to make it to class, how are they going to access these research opportunities, right? And fundamentally, Ontario is practically the highest GDP of all other provinces in Canada and has the lowest funding for post-secondary education. So if we're talking about funding schools and making it more affordable and supporting students, it's directly that, funding schools and education. That's what we want to see, and that's what we need to see.
Alex, earlier this week when announcing the changes, Premier Ford made this characterization of how some students are perhaps misusing post-secondary learning and funding. I want to remind the country of his statement by playing it, and then I'm going to get your response.
I mentioned to the students, you have to invest in your future, into in-demand jobs, because a lot of the students, I'm not one to say, you know, like, you're picking basket weaving courses, and there's not too many baskets being sold out there.
What did you make of that comment?
That was extremely offensive for students. First of all, even if they want to go into fields that invest in their futures, such as medical school, engineering, law, all those require a lot more money. Med school at U Ottawa costs over $100,000, and middle class, even and especially low-income class students, can't afford that. And doctors and lawyers and STEM students are here today because of OSAP, not in spite of it. So that's a major disappointment to hear from our provincial government, and frankly, it's an abandonment to low-income class and middle class students.
Alex, I know that this was a conversation. I have kids who are in this age group and their friends as well. There is real fear and concern that they are not going to be able to attain their dreams of, you know, a job that they want, let alone attend post-secondary university students or education. What do you tell the students that come into your office this week?
Well, I'm telling them honestly that we're making a plan and we're going to fight back, and we're going to give them every tool possible to make their voices heard, from phone banks to email campaigns and letter writing campaigns. We're going to bring students from Ottawa all the way to Queen's Park when they're sitting and let Doug Ford know how students feel so they can tell him directly. We're going to take this as far as we need to, because I know students don't want to stop, so we're empowered not to stop either.
Alex Stratus, University of Ottawa student and advocacy commissioner at the U Ottawa Students' Union. Thanks for your time this morning, Alex. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.